Hello, beautiful. I'm your host, Nicole Goff. Welcome to the Ecstatic Life Podcast, the podcast for women who want it all: health, wealth, freedom, authenticity, love, beauty, all of the hidden gems just waiting to be uncovered. This is the podcast for women who are ready to discover their inner creatrix, to discover their inner manifester, and who want to find the ecstatic in every day. Hi, and welcome to the Ecstatic Life Podcast. I'm host Nicole Goff, and today I am here with Kylie Watkins, and she is the founder of mumpowered.co, a coaching space for single and solo moms who feel lost in the chaos of motherhood. Through her signature program, From Lost to Empowered, and her weekly Reset Room Circle, Kylie helps moms move from burnout and guilt to rediscovering who they are and create a life that feels calm, confident, and empowered. Welcome, Kylie.
Hey.
I'm so glad to have you here, and all the way from Australia again. So this will be my third Australia interview, and it's always fun to navigate the time difference. So for me, it's early morning, and for you, it's like middle of the night, right? Yeah.
I heard
Yes,
that.
yeah, always a challenge with that, but we make it work. Like even as moms, even as a single or solo mom yourself, like we come together and we make it work, which is awesome. And so today we are here on the Ecstatic Life podcast to talk about your journey in single motherhood. And so our title for this show is Alone but Not Broken: From Solo Mom to Empowered and Free. And I really resonate with this topic as I was also a single mama with my first for 6 years. And so I know that story well. But I would like to start off with hearing your story.
So just to clarify, when I say solo mom, I am talking about moms who are in a relationship, but they basically feel like they're single anyway because they're not being supported. So that's what I mean. So that's basically where my journey started, was that feeling of being alone and isolated and just having no real support. And it's real draining and exhausting where everything is on you.
Mm.
So, and during that time, we were, me and my ex, or my partner at the time, we were gonna get married. So I was like this close to getting married and then downhill. So we got everything planned out. I went and got my wedding dress and everything. And then issues came up. There were just a lot of issues. So eventually decided to take some space and try and see if we can figure things out. But obviously it didn't work out, and we realized it's just not gonna happen for us. So I had to, I guess, learn who I am again and figure out how to work through this journey of being a single mom because, well, I had no other choice.
Yeah.
And so you just have to learn and figure out how to do it. Obviously, I was very hurt at the beginning, but it also felt very powerful because it made me try and figure out who I am without him, without who I am apart from being a mom. So going back into what I love to do, what's my passions, instead of focusing on everybody else, which I think that's probably a reason why things went downhill, is because I worried so much about everyone else around me that I forgot about me. And of course, when you're not in a good place, then everyone around you, they see that and they take that on and put the blame on you. So
Mm.
yeah, it's not a nice feeling. So it was very hurtful. And plus, at the time when we were together, we had a roommate. So I had another voice speaking into our relationship, which thought was helpful. And in some ways, it probably was. But for the most part, we need to learn on our issues on our own because having so many opinions come in, it makes things 10 times worse.
Oh yeah. Yes, I know. I know about that. My family was always the one that, well, no, I had friends too that always had a lot of opinions about all my relationship stuff. So I've learned to maybe keep it like inside more and not talk about it as much because of that. Because yeah, it does. It clouds things when you have all those opinions coming at you. And before we get any further, I did want to go back to highlight that. Yes, so the difference between single mom and or mom, as you say, or solo. So there is a term called like a single married mom that goes around too. So there are moms, and that is how I would have described myself up until the last few years. There are moms who, for whatever reason, either they're partner is in the military or has some other kind of job pilot or something where they're gone all the time. And so essentially they're parenting solo, but they are married. They have a provider or, someone who is a partner with them, but they're not there on the day-to-day basis to handle all of the stresses of childcare and housework and all of that. So there's that aspect of it. Or there's like the aspect of the single married mom where I felt like I did all the work and I had a partner who was there. He just was mentally checked out.
Yeah.
He just wasn't. He might have physically been in the living room, but he wasn't a part of what was going on, wasn't lifting a finger to help. And so that was the
Yeah.
dynamic in my home where I felt like a single mom, even though I had a man who was literally sitting in the living room.
Yeah.
So there's that aspect versus, a truly single mom. And for me, my story, just a little backstory was, I was married. Similar to you, we were engaged. Some issues started coming up. We were talking about breaking up, but then found out I was pregnant, surprise, and we're like, okay, we're gonna get married. So we just did it, which was the wrong decision. So you probably dodged a bullet there. And a year later, we were divorced. And so our baby, my first daughter, who is 19 now, she was just about a year old when we got divorced. So and he was, I think, already out of the house for like 6 months before that. So that was the first 6 years of her life. I was a single mom with her. And, yeah, it's challenging. So, but also empowering because I did find myself, as you said. So, what were some of those challenges that you came up against? I mean, did you have support? Is her dad like involved at all?
Um, I have two girls. So yeah, it was a process. So I think at the beginning it was more like pop by whenever you felt like. And then gradually I went back to work. So he had to have the kids when I was at work because I had no one else, and I need to make money too. So I did that, but then because I worked only like overnight, so I only had them at nighttime, and then I picked them up, and then I said, why can't I just have them for the whole day instead? And so I started doing that, but it was very like gradual. So didn't have any car seats, so I had to keep on trading. That was annoying, very annoying. Having to keep swapping car seats. And then there was meal times. So I had to provide all the food. And when I didn't, I felt bad. So then I would send money to buy food. But now it's learned to do everything on his own, and things are a whole lot better now. We have a proper schedule on when he has them and when I do. So things are a lot better now. But I think the moment I can really remember was when I first, like near the very beginning of breaking up and becoming like a single mom. And it wasn't the idea of being a single mom, but just the thought of splitting up that I was just really hurt. And I had her oldest with me, and sees me crying, and she said, "You done yet? Have you finished crying?" And then that's when I was like, "Oh goodness, it's yeah, that's just the pain of it all." And you are around your kids, and one thing someone said to me was, "It's okay for them to see you in pain," because I tried to hide it a lot because I didn't want them to see me upset. I don't know what's going on, but once I learned that it's okay for them to see, because then they can also see your progress of how you've healed and how you're doing a lot better. So yeah, I think that's a big thing that I learned, that you don't have to hide. So
Yeah. Yeah, and you had said when we were doing intake that you felt very isolated. So part of this was your journey from isolation to empowerment. Do you want to touch on that? Like, what about it was so isolating for you?
um I think it was both quite isolating from being a solo mom and a single mom. I felt, even though I had people around me, I still felt very isolated because no one knew what I was going through. Everything was, I had to carry everything. And I even got the joke of, in like being in a household with a roommate, um, got the joke of saying, "Oh yeah, you're the mom in the group." And I'm like, "Yeah, I know that," but yeah, it was tough. Um, People talked about going out to try and boost myself up, but I don't think I needed to party. I just needed someone to be there and listen to me and just be like a friendly ear, and then being understood. So he didn't quite understand where I was coming from, and as much as he wanted to escape and do other things instead of coming home and helping me out, um, it was hurting me, because you can escape, but I don't have that option to just nick off for a few hours. I have the kids to look after. And
Yep.
then in becoming a single mom, then you truly are alone. It's just you and the kids. You're by yourself. And I don't know, part of me felt like I was more alone being a solo mom than being a single mom, because I get to be me, but there was still a sense of being alone and isolated, because there's just no one you can really talk to. It's all new. So yeah, just trying to find friends that who understand as well. Um, then there's the idea of being judged by others because of how things have changed now, and not having that sense of community. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was very lonely. I think I ended up just calling friends here and there, and people who understood me and cared for me. So I guess I just chose friends who are important and truly care about me. And then yeah, and I did a lot of like journaling as well to try and keep my mind off things. And I also like pray a lot, so keep my spirits up.
Yeah.
So,
And as a Christian woman, you mentioned feeling judged. Did you feel like you were judged for making the choice of leaving your partner?
um, yes and no. I think the judgment came from myself.
Mm,
I felt like I did things the wrong way. I didn't do it right, so now I'm being punished for it. So
mm,
instead of waiting till marriage to have kids, I'm now punished because I said I would never be a single mom. Do not make me a single mom. And then I became one, and I was annoyed, and I felt like I was abandoned, even though
mm.
it was mutual to separate. I still felt a little bit of being abandoned. Like, you left me, And now having to do this all on my own. Well, I mean, not completely own because we're in good terms, but it still kind of felt that way. And I remember we went to this gathering together, and then I was already in tears on the way there because the last time I had been there, we were together, and now we're separated, and now we're going to this place together. And I just broke in tears. And I know everyone wants to talk about our situation and I guess try and help out. But I just didn't want to talk about it because it would make me cry. And that's what happened. I just cried. And but I wasn't someone to pity over. I wasn't that I was upset. It's just the whole fact that the last time I was here, we were together. Now things are different.
Yeah, the life that you thought you were gonna have is now, yeah, it's now shattered. Yeah, I know that I understand that feeling too because you make promises and you make commitments and you think like this is someone I had kids with and we have these ideas in our head of everything being happily ever after. And when it doesn't work out like that, it's shattering and it's hard to cope with sometimes. You said
Yeah.
something you said something earlier I wanted to highlight. It's about the burden that falls on you. Like, oh, you're the mom of the house. And I feel like that's something that weighs really heavy on modern women right now because we've lost that village. You said how you felt isolated because we've lost that village, we've lost that support system. And we now have the burden of all the family care, and some of us are even like caring for aging parents on top of it too. But all the child care, we're also working, we're also doing all of the housework, and many times we, even when we have partners or husbands, we feel like we're raising them like they're, teenage children that we're taking care of as well. And it really falls very heavy on us. And we don't have that tribe, that village that we used to have to support us. And we do feel alone and isolated. And I hear that from so many moms. So, I mean, it is a real struggle. It's funny. I was on an Instagram thread the other day about women feeling like single married moms. And this one girl got so upset and she just kept calling people out like, you chose to get pregnant. You chose to have kids. Stop whining. And she said, this is so disgusting. How many women are in here whining? And so I was like, hey, are you okay? Like, are you good? And she got so mad at me. She was so triggered. But I feel like this is such a common thing, yet something about that single married mom, like it really, really triggers people. So it's very in the zeitgeist right now for sure.
Yeah, I think it's something people don't really want to talk about because they rather put that image that you're happy and you're good, but deep down, because that's why I say that solo moms are more isolated and alone than the actual single moms because at least single moms they can say they have a title single moms, whereas solo moms don't really have a place to say that oh, I'm doing this by myself. It's because then the single moms will look at you and say, yeah, but you got a partner. Why can't you talk to him to do it?
Yeah.
But
Yep, and that was exactly what was going on in this thread, and it's like how to judge like that, that's definitely not the medicine we need in this situation because what we need is for moms to come together and support each other. And we need to have that village again. And I feel like so that's part of what you're doing with your mission. So your business is helping moms like find that wholeness again, right?
yeah, yes, especially the reset room is about having other moms who get it and being able to just share and talk about things where you don't have to feel so alone and you get to have that friendly ear and say, oh yeah, I've been through this, or even if just advice here and there because sometimes like just being a parent in general you want some advice, okay, what should I do for this, and we're not all experts but we're all moms and we all get it, so
Yeah.
yeah.
That's so important. And I'm so glad that we have these online spaces for that because I think that that really has helped some with that isolation. Because we can join these online communities, even if there isn't something local in your area. There are these online communities that we can be a part of, and I host I call it the Sisterhood Circle. So quarterly meetings that we do, workshops that we do, where it's women supporting women. And so I feel like bringing that, like, even if like me and you, we're like completely opposite sides of the world,
Mhm.
but being able to connect like that online in these digital spaces, I think has been super helpful. So
Yeah.
tell me a little bit more about Mum Powered and what you do there.
So it's very fresh. So it's about like helping single and solo moms through like life coaching and just trying to find yourself again, no matter the stage that you're in. So go from like solo moms of being in a relationship but not supported, and there's the ones that are freshly single and then trying to navigate how to go through life being a single mom. And then there's the one of being in the midst of being a single mom and dealing with other issues of like co-parenting and what's next for me, what do I need to focus my life in. So
Wow.
that's the other program that I got from Lost to Empowered to try and really have that one-on-one option to really dig deep and figure out what's your next step, what do you need right now? Have a ear to someone to talk to.
So you said you're fresh to the coaching world, so this is a new venture. Are you still working full time also, or have you gone full in on the coaching program?
It was been a long journey to try and figure out what exactly I wanted to do in terms of coaching. Because I knew I wanted to do coaching, I knew it was to do around moms, but I think I was straying away from single moms because I was also worried about saying the word single mom because I was a bit ashamed of that. But now that I've opened up and I'm proud and I can say I'm a single mom and I'm not ashamed of it, so now I'm helping other moms as well to say it's okay that you're a single mom, but how can we move forward and better yourself to feel that sense of empowerment?
Hello, Ecstatic Life listeners. I am interrupting this program in order to let you know about my Patreon $5 a month club. If you join, you not only support my mission and this podcast, but you also get a ton of bonus materials. I have a whole health and wellness collection with video tutorials on all the practices that keep me the fittest and the healthiest I have ever been. I have unedited podcast outtakes. I have replays from live events that I have done. I have my self care reset. And all of this is free with your $5 a month membership. So go on and check it out. Patreon.com/Nicole Goff Speaks. Thank you for supporting the show and enjoy this episode.
It's been a while with work. I still work full time, but conveniently it's like overnights. So I only work like 3 nights a week. So during the day, I get the time to just work on the business. So that's been really good, and especially with trying to figure out who can look after the kids as well. So it's been really convenient. So yeah, it's working good so far.
Awesome. Yeah, I know that's a whole thing. I'm lucky that I have my husband to be bringing in the income during this last year journey of starting my own coaching business because wow, it has been a ton of work and a ton of putting money and energy in that, yeah, it's a lot. Becoming an entrepreneur is a whole other thing. I should do a whole podcast on that actually. Becoming an entrepreneur is its own thing. And doing that while you are single is a whole other level. I decided to go back to school as a single mom. So when my first daughter was 3 years old, I went back to college and I did 5 years at university and was getting a psychology degree before I met my current husband. And then we ended up having a bunch more kids. And I never went back and finished that PhD. But yeah, coaching, I'm definitely still in the same field. But yeah, that journey, I was working. I was still an entrepreneur then too. I ran a house cleaning business, so I was working and going to school, sometimes full time, sometimes part time. It was a lot, and navigating childcare. I spent a lot of time bringing my daughter like to classes with me, or she always came to cleaning jobs with me. Her dad was completely out of the picture for the first 3 years of her life, and luckily when he came back in the picture, I had his help. But before that, it was just, well, kid, you're along for the ride. So anything I did, I nannied and babysat and cleaned houses. I just brought her, I'd strap her on in the backpack and clean a house, and you just do what you have to do. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it definitely is a journey. And starting your own business, it really brings up, as you said, like bringing up that shame or that guilt or that uncomfortable feelings about being a single mom. Like starting your own business, becoming an entrepreneur really shines a light on those skeletons in the closet that we feel. Because I know for me, when I got into coaching, I wanted to help homeschool moms.
Mm.
And very quickly, I saw that when I would post anything having to do with my marriage, because we went through big struggles. Like I said, I felt completely like a single married mom, totally martyred, totally taking on all the responsibility for everything, burnt out. And when I started talking about those stories, I started having people just come out of the blue and ask for marriage advice. And
Mm.
it felt very exposing, to put any of that out, especially on social media. But every time anything got posted that had to do with my husband, I was getting so much more engagement and so many more questions and inquiries that I started moving in that direction. And even though it felt very exposing to kind of put my relationship and my marriage struggles out there under this microscope, I have seen how much it has helped other women who were really just feeling completely lost, to give them hope that there can be change. And so, really, it calls us, I think, when we start these businesses, it calls us to expose ourselves in this way, to really like dredge up these feelings and really work on them. So it's very interesting, the entrepreneurial journey for me, and especially getting into podcasting and blogs and all this. It's like it's been a great learning lesson. It's been just a great teacher to learn more about myself.
Yeah. I think I learned more about the fact of how much people can speak to and hear all their stories of how things have changed for them, and like listening to their experience. There's just so many different types of stories, and it's nice to hear things. That's why I learned the other definition of solo mom is a single mom by choice. And
Mm.
I didn't know anything about that until I started talking to other moms and just speaking with them, and I was like, oh wow, there's a whole lot of different stories. So yeah, and I'm really enjoying it, speaking with other moms.
I
So
hadn't even thought of that. That's true. That's not really like in my realm. So yeah, there are moms who decide to get pregnant and, have a baby all on their own without any man involved at all. Yeah, yeah, that's not a story I've even like personally heard. It'd be interesting to have somebody on the podcast that wanted to tell
yeah,
that. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Well, so there was something that we had touched on before we recorded, that we were both talking about being cycle breakers. So I wanted to talk about that a little bit too. So do you want to go into your story about being a generational cycle breaker in your family?
yeah. So there's a whole lot of like how things are meant to be. So how my parents brought me and my sister up, and how I bring up my kids. Now I had a lot of issues and fights around that, especially because I had bounced around of this whole being a single mom and stuff. So I had to go back to living with my parents. And it was hard because I'm living under their roof, that my mom felt like I had to do things her way and my way was different. So I had to try and explain things, that this is how I want to raise my kids. And her thing was a whole lot around not seeing pain, not seeing hurt, no crying, and just kind of being there. Whereas I like to try and teach things and like speak to them as why something is wrong and try and understand where they're coming from. Not they're not just fighting. There's a reason why they're upset. And instead of just trying to fix them, let them fix it.
Mm.
So other issues like the bottle situation, like because one had a bottle and the other one um doesn't have a bottle anymore. She wanted them both to have a bottle because they were upset and crying. I said that's because they cry, because they know if they cry enough, you're gonna give them what they want. With me, they weren't like that because they knew that I won't take that. But apparently I was the bad mom because I did that. So yeah, I had to try and wrap my head around that and how to deal with that, because she is my mom, and at the end of the day, that's you respect your parents.
Yeah,
So
I went through that too when I first got divorced. I ended up buying a travel trailer, an RV, and parked it. Actually, I think my parents bought the RV and parked it in their yard. And so I wasn't even under the same roof, but I was there, all the time. And me and my mom definitely we collided a lot, and a lot of that came to the surface. And I had that same conversation with my mom too. It was like, I am the parent now, and she was trying to parent me and parent her granddaughter. And I'm like, I am the parent now, and I want to do things different. And it was rough. It was very difficult. And that lasted for about a year. Yeah, about a year, and we were definitely at each other's throats for that year. So I'm glad it didn't last any longer than that.
yeah, I could never stay for over a year. It was too much. We just had different views on how to parent, so it just didn't work out. So yeah, but another thing I found, talking about trauma, is that most people tend to use that excuse that they are the way they are because of that trauma. And as much as that is true, it shapes you. But I always say it's about the choices you make to be better than that. Because even with being a parent, you always say you want to be better than your parents. But sometimes how you grew up, it creeps back in and you end up being a parent, and you have to notice it and then do something about it to stop that cycle. So, yeah.
Well, and so you had mentioned you're a recovering perfectionist. And so was that something that came from your parents, a lot of pressure to be the good girl and
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes, I think people really noticed it a lot. So, I always say, you don't have to be perfect, but now I'm starting to realize that I myself is trying to always be perfect because of how I grew up. Like with my parents, or specifically my mother, she always talked about dressing well, and you had to look nice before you leave the door, having the house spotless, which is very hard when you have kids.
Yes.
But but she always wanted that. And it became like a competition where she could have the house clean while having the kids, whereas she felt that I could not do that. And I guess that's probably how she was brought up, that she had to have everything perfect, spotless, and clean. But now I think about what do I need to prioritize? What's important for me right now? Because I've always said when it comes to the kids making mess, that's them learning. They're learning how to play with each other. And at the end of the day, they can be tidied up, but to constantly remind them or be annoyed by the fact that the room is messy, then they're not gonna really learn and they don't get to be creative and explore. But then later down the track, it became too much. So then you have to try and balance it to try and figure out how can I have my house clean to the point where I'm happy how my house is, but also let them have fun as
Yeah,
well.
yeah. Yeah, and that really highlights that there's a generational difference too, because I do feel like our parents' generation was much more about the appearance. And I think that's part of that breaking of the generational cycles that our generation is much more about the experience. So the appearance maybe isn't going to be as perfect, but the kids are actually enjoying their lives more. There's not so much rigidity. And yeah, I definitely feel that way. I try to find that balance too. And as the kids get older, empowering them to actually take up that responsibility and be responsible for their own messes. But when they're little, it's like almost like you can drive yourself insane, or you can just be like the mean mom who's always yelling at them and not letting them have any fun. So, yeah, I find that having like more tolerance for the mess has been easier for me in the relationship with the kids.
Yeah, I think I remember I used to, when I first started to do this business, I posted things about my kids, and then one of them was that they made mess in their room or they ate the apple funny, and then I got a comment asking why can't you just tell them to clean up? And they got a misunderstanding that I'm trying to show what life is like. I wasn't asking for criticism on how to parent. Of course, I'm gonna teach them, but this is how it is sometimes. So, yeah, I get quite a bit of judgment sometimes as well.
Yeah, the internet is so funny like that. That's, especially so when you're, for anybody out there that's listening that isn't running a business online and doesn't have to put their face all over the internet every single day, there is this whole weird thing when you do utilize social media, because as an online coach, you pretty much have to. I'm not sure how you can be in this space without utilizing social media, honestly. And of course, I choose to do a podcast, which is definitely putting myself all out there. But you run into people who come with these very off topic and off color comments and opinions, and it's just so weird. I had this was my favorite. I had a single guy who I looked at his account after I read his comment. He had like all pictures of him working out and his cats. So he was like a cat dude, I guess. Not a cat lady, he was a cat dude. But I had a single guy go on one of my posts, and he told me to stop pretending to be an intellectual and just get back to raising my kids. And I was like, I am an intellectual, thank you very much. But I was like,
Yeah.
what a weird thing to like go on somebody. I was just posting about like mom stuff, like, mom advice, I guess. And like, what a weird reaction to have. People just come out of the woodwork to like make these comments. And it's just so funny how the internet like brings that out in people.
Yeah. I think it's weird people commenting and adding because I think the fact that I'm putting it out there that I'm a single mom, so that means I'm single. So then there are people out there who are just adding me and then wanting to talk to me, and I'm here in business mode. Oh, hi, how are you? Talking about figuring out if they're, because I don't really look at their picture. I guess I didn't look at their profile, and also it's just a picture of a flower or something. And then they're asking me if I'm interested in a relationship, and I'm like, no. And then they get upset when I say no, like, nah, I'm not really looking for to be in a relationship. I'm like, I'm happy right now. It's just, I think exploring what it's like to be alone and be okay with being alone, because that's another thing I think um, that you have to transition and actually let yourself heal from that broken relationship until you actually become ready to be in a relationship. And I've always been that way. I've never been a person to just jump to relationship and cover up that pain with a new relationship. I've always been the one to actually face the hurt and actually heal from that, figure out what do I want, what kind of partner do I actually want. So yeah, but I think I realized that was when I thought about going on dating apps, and then I would talk, but when it came to meeting up, I would cancel because I was like, no, I don't actually want to talk to anyone right now. And then I got that sense of like, men just seem to really irritate me right now. But then I think like now I gone past a stage of like trying to become ready to be in a relationship, to actually saying that I'm happy now to be alone, but I'm also open. I'm open to finding new love and trying to be happy and just have peace and to figure out what kind of partner do I want. And it's a nice feeling to say that, okay, yeah, I'm finally ready for a relationship. But I'm not searching, I'm not looking, but I'm open to it.
That's
So
the best place to be in too, because when you do the work first, you work on yourself, you're good with yourself, and then you magnetize somebody that's gonna meet you there,
mm,
instead of going to try to fill a hole, to fix the hurt and loneliness inside by bringing someone else into that, and that never works out as good. Yeah. Well, speaking of working on ourselves, that brings me to wanting to talk about the venture that we are going to do together. So,
mm.
we are partnering up to do the Reset and Revive Challenge. So, do you want to tell the audience about that and what they can look forward to?
Yes, so doing that challenge that's goes for 5 days. So we're just gonna be going back and forth on different things about how to find peace and go away from chaos and just kind of like relax and do some like journaling tips and just some exercises to really rejuvenate and be at peace and relax. So it's gonna be really great. I'm excited. Um, yeah, I think we're gonna do it on in early November. So it's gonna be awesome. So yeah, also I think we talked about having like the optional VIP to have limited access to the videos because it's gonna be on the Instagram pop-up. So we have the videos will be on there, but also have the VIP tickets, we have lifetime access to that as well as a workbook. So yeah.
And that will
So
be for single, solo, married, any
just moms in general.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just moms in general. So for both of our audience, it's all about just like we were saying, learning to be good with yourself, to feel good in your body, to feel happy and to feel confident. And,
Mm,
and so no matter what part of your journey you're in.
yes.
So yeah, I'm excited to partner up. Yeah. And I'm glad you reached out to me when I got that message. I'm like, oh, yeah. Sure. Like you work with single and solo moms. I'm like working with moms to like help revive their marriages. I was like, yeah, definitely. Let's partner up.
Yeah, I was
That's
like, this is
fun.
totally like different end of the spectrum. Why can't we do something together?
Yep, yep, yep. My next interview next week is with a dad coach. So that's it.
Ooh.
That's the other side of it. He's a husband and father coach. So he's got a like whole other angle. So yeah, it's fun to like bridge those gaps and to see where everything, meets in the middle too, because I think no matter where you're at in your journey, whether you're navigating divorce or already single, or you're trying to save your marriage, or even if you're happy or whatever in your marriage, like the real message is to coming back to yourself,
Mm,
to filling
yeah.
your own cup, to empowering yourself on your own journey, no matter where you are, because it really starts with our internal work. It starts with
Mm,
us, and that overflows to our kids, we're better moms, we're better partners, or, if you're co-parenting, a better co-parent. It just spills over into everything when you start doing that work on yourself. And so before we wrap up, I would love if you could tell my audience like where to find you, what you do, a little bit more about your program, and I'll link everything in the show notes too, but just to leave them with ways to get in touch with you if they're on the single or solo mom journey and want to work with you.
Okay, great. So I'm on Instagram. So that's mompower.co on Instagram. And I am on Facebook, but it's just my name, Kylie Watkins. So good luck finding that one. I think that'll be nice to go through all the but eventually it will be there. But yeah, that's where you can find me. So the programs I got, as I mentioned before, the Reset Room, and I got the From Lost to Empowered. So both of them are out there, but the best ways, you can just DM me, message me, we can talk about it. But also you can or book a clarity call and I can talk more about it, and figure out what stage you're at and if this is suitable for you. And then we can get started. Yeah.
Awesome. And Lost to Empowered is your solo coaching,
Yes.
your one-on-one
Yes.
coaching.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Thank you so much for coming on. And I can't wait to do our collaboration for Reset and Revive. And we will get more information out about that. That will also be linked in the show notes. So join us. All right. We'll talk again soon.